Hello, everybody. This is Nikki from Motherhood Unfiltered. It's going to be okay. And today I'm excited to have Dom Brightmon on the line with me. And he is his has his own podcast, um, Going North. I think that's what it's called. That is what it's called. I'm sorry. But he also has a free ebook that he offers to listeners, 21 lessons learned from podcasting. So, but he dabbles in leadership. I'm sure he's a great leader. And he is a certified trainer with the Maxwell Leadership Team. He's a best-selling author. And so the podcast that he host is committed to featuring authors from around the world. And I've got to listen to some of his podcasts with some of the authors that he's had, and they're really good. The one I listened to the other day was this person who did hypnosis and she turned Christian. It was really good. So I I couldn't stop listening to it. So anyway, but before I bring him on, I just want to remind everybody that if you're watching on YouTube, please comment, like, and subscribe. If you've already done that, you're awesome. And to share it with someone that you love. If you're listening to it on the podcast, please go to Spotify or Apple iTunes to rate the and review the podcast. Um, this lets me know how well I'm doing. So it's like a report card. And I would like to make sure I'm getting A pluses on everything. Right now, I'm not getting A pluses. So I need you all to go out there and rate and review the podcast. So, and then one last thing, I am doing a free workshop for my course, How to Get Out of the Funk. So if you're down in the molly grubs, in that muck and mire, and some kind of a funk of depression and anxiety, then I strongly urge you to go to my website, www.nikkiasherbowling.com/free workshop. Sign up for it. It's free. It's the steps that I took several years ago to help myself when I was in a bad depression. So I want to share it with y'all so that you will reap the benefits just like I did. So without further ado, here is Don. Oh, not Don, but Dom. Jesus.
He's your savior,
I
babe.
know. He better come down and save me because I'm like over here tongue tying, saying your name wrong. And I was great. I was going to say
Plus
you're like a
unfiltered.
best-selling author. I was like, I don't think that's right yet. I interviewed another person a few weeks ago, and I said, "Yeah, he's written like so many books." And he got back on the line. He's like, "I've only written one book. Now I feel pressure to go out and write some more books." I said, "I'm so sorry. I misread my notes." So it wouldn't be a Nikki day without me saying something totally wrong. So anyway, but we'll just go on with life. So
That's the name of the
Dom,
game, right?
so first question before I have you introduce yourself, with all the authors that you have on your podcast, do you read each and every one of those books?
No. Funny enough, because I ain't gonna lie and say I read every single one of their books. Funny enough, I've interviewed some folks, and I'm like, oh god, I don't want to read their book now. But anyway, so I usually prepare for my interviews for authors. It's like 1 to 3 hours of preparation for every interview. So if they have done
Yeah.
interviews before, I listen to their oldest interview I can find, and then their most recent. And then if I have their
Okay.
book from the PR company, I'll read like maybe the first chapter or three.
Yeah.
It's like a there's like a there's like a 2% chance I'll finish their book before the interview.
So
I've interviewed
maybe
over 700
someday.
people, so
so so maybe someday you'll have your own team of people reading books for you, huh? Is that what
oh
you're
yeah,
and
Oh
they
yeah,
can
that's
tell
part
you,
of the
well, this.
game.
So, Dom, tell us about yourself and how you ended up writing a book at the age of 23. I mean, most young people that I talk to lately are just not that ambitious. So, um, I would just like to know what caused you to do that.
Yeah, funny enough, it was actually on a dare. That's actually kind of how it happened. Because back in 2013, that was my year of rebirth when I started doing these New Year's mantras, or as some call them, the
Uh-huh.
AKA word of the year. I call them mantras because I do 1 to 3 words. So, yeah. So, in particular, 2015, the year for that was definitely Kaizen, continuous improvement. And part of what I was
Oh.
doing when I was networking with people was to hand out reading lists with my contact information as opposed to business cards because business cards they end up forgotten or in the garbage. So hey, let me stand out and have reading lists for folks. And if they see the list and they see a book they've read, they're like, oh, okay, cool. We have something to talk about.
Mhm.
And one chick, she actually saw the list and she looked at the list, looked right back at me, looked at the list, looked right back at me, and asked me, hey, where's your name on this list, buddy? And I'm like, yeah, it's right there at the bottom. The whole Dominic Brightmon 443. Like, oh, she ain't talking about the darn name and the contact info. She's like, hey, your name is an author. And I'm like, author? Me? I read the books. I don't write them at the time. And she was like, hey, how about a year from today you become a published author? Like, just see your name in lights, Dom Brightmon, author. And I'm like, that sounds freaking cool. Like, no, I am not doing it. I am freaking good. And then she's like, all right, how about we both write books this year and get both of our books done? And I'm like, man, and she's
Oh.
cute to boot too. And I'm like, you know what? This is freaking a good idea. And I'm like, nah, sounds too freaking intense. Like, nah, I think I'm good. Then a couple days later, was giving a speech, and I had to do a Q&A session as a requirement for this Toastmasters project. And the first question
Uh-huh.
from the audience was a buddy of mine, and he's like,
Oh
"Hey,
gosh.
Dom, when are you gonna write your book?" And it's like, damn. Like I don't want to look like a punk on stage. It was the longest moment of silence in my head. It was like it's like a baby became a senior citizen all in 3 seconds. Like it felt like the longest moment of silence in my head ever. Like buddies hopping on a camel hump. It was crazy. And I was like, you know what? I don't look like a punk on stage. So I said, a year from today, gonna write my book. And then
Oh Lord.
October 2016, my book was published after that. So that's how I became a published author 23.
He spoke the words. I'd be like, thanks, dude. I thought you was my friend. You done put me out in
Yeah.
front of everybody. You must have told him the story about the the lady
Oh
making a
yeah.
bet with you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, what are friends
I mean,
for,
what
right?
are friends for, right? That's hilarious. Well, I'm glad you wrote the book. So I didn't know it. You offered a free one, so I'm like, I gotta go download that so I can uh, read it and find out what 21 things I need to learn from podcasting besides pronouncing their names wrong.
But you got a great personality and you're spoken for, so that means you're doing good work.
Yeah, well, he's already invested too much money into me to get rid of him now. So, but I am curious to pick your brain about some of the leadership things that you've learned and that you talk to other people about because I know that you're good at talking with people on the podcast. So one of the things that was on your Podmatch profile was what three skills that millennials should develop and master. So
uh,
I want to know that
yeah.
one.
Oh, yeah. That's probably the most popular question on that list of questions, too. Funny enough, that one and
Well,
the book
yeah,
one, but
because
yeah.
I mean I know some millennials and they need to learn some stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Heck, I might have to change it to Gen Z now since millennials are kind of getting in our 30s now. But anyways, the answer is kind of a cheat answer. I kind of cheat with it because even though I say three skills, there's kind of a
Uh-huh.
big umbrella, especially with the first one, and that would be communication skills. Because see,
Okay.
communication is this giant, wonderful tree, and all the different branches are the different ways of
Mhm.
communicating. Public speaking being one of them. Like if you can speak publicly in front of a group of people, that will set you
Yeah.
apart from those around you because that means you have a higher level of confidence if you appear competent and confident up on stage because that shows you
Yeah.
are confident in what you're saying and what you want to deliver for folks. Another thing is written
Yeah.
communication because writing leads to wealth, as that wonderful Ben Franklin quote goes, is that, hey, when you write, it leads to wealth because when you write, you get to leave a piece of yourself here long after you're gone if it goes into a book form. And sometimes folks will get to read your words, especially when you're reading emails, because you can't really communicate in emojis all day. That's not going to get you too far. And then
I was gonna ask if texting was allowed.
oh, it's
I
allowed.
don't
Like that's
know.
the other thing.
I mean, when texting first came about, I thought it was like the best thing ever. And now I'm like, if I get a text, I I don't even I don't even want to respond. I'm so tired of it because that's all anybody wants to do, right? And so sometimes, depending on if I have a lot to say, but I can't call them, I will do an audio clip and send it to them. But yeah, I mean, those are some two great points. Is that our communication skills, I feel like, are declining because everything's so virtual and you don't get the same interaction when you are standing up in front of a group of people, right? And I mean, if it's like a virtual meeting, you can just say, "Oh, my internet went out." If you messed up, you can just disconnect and be like, "Sorry."
Yep.
Yeah,
Just like
exactly.
that.
And they'll be like, "Well, we lost him." And you can regroup or whatever. But when you are up in front of people, I remember when I did public speaking in high school and I had now I'm an introvert. Like that was like the worst thing you could do to me was make me stand up there in front of people. And and it wasn't that I didn't know my material because I felt I was like halfway intelligent. I would do my work and but I would just get so nervous and stammer. Like I still do that today. I say words wrong and now I'm just like, you know, just laugh about it, it's okay. But yeah, so the written word is because even when you're not here, it's depending on if it's published or whatever, it's here. We're still reading things from hundreds of years ago. So I feel like that's really important. Um, so what was the third thing that um, you think is important for them to learn or to develop? I mean, besides, working and taking care of themselves. I mean, that's from a mom perspective,
There you
right?
go. Motherhood Unfiltered. You love to see it. The MU folks love to have, baby. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. But yeah, the
Yeah,
other two
indeed.
skills. Yeah. So the communication was the first skill. That was the tree that led to the many skills under the main skill of communication. The second one would be financial literacy. That's definitely the second one because that's something a
Yeah.
lot of kids, majority of kids, they don't get that in school. Like,
Mm-mm.
I think I probably got like maybe consumer math my 12th grade year. And even then, I was like focusing on, oh, I'm about to graduate. Forget this. It's like maybe giving that a little earlier is a way to help folks pay attention because, like,
Yeah.
today's society, it's like, oh, yeah, yeah, credit cards, yay. Oh, inflation, no. Let me spend this credit
Yeah.
forever, yay.
They think that the ATM is just endless amounts of money in there, and that you can just go however many times you want. And that's how my kids thought it was. Well, mom, I would say I don't have money to do that. We can't do that. Well, just go to that big box by the bank. Well, buddy, I wish it was that easy, you know. So, but so teaching them, life skills about how to deal with money, right?
Yes, indeed. That's right, indeed. And definitely the last one is networking, especially with folks who have great networks that can help you out in the future. So nurturing those fabulous
Hmm.
relationships that'll put you over the edge because the folks you know and who knows you, that'll get you quicker than a degree ever will. Not saying don't go to school. I'm just saying just network
Hmm.
effectively.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there for a while, that was they had there was a lot of propaganda about going to school and getting an education, after high school. And I mean, yeah, I feel like it's important, but it's not your only option, right? I mean, there's other things you can do. So, and I know a lot of people who work for themselves and they do the networking, and they put themselves out there. Anytime they meet somebody, they just tell them all about what they're doing, and then even if that person doesn't have the information they need, they might come across something and let them know, hey, I just found out about this, I thought you might be interested. So um so tell me about, I think I asked you about your mom when we did our screening, not screening, but our meet and greet. And so what does she think about you writing this book, when you were 23? Did she read it?
Oh yeah, she read it afterwards and she was like, "Man, you put so many big words in here." And I'm like, "Really? They look that big to me." And she's got a freaking master's degree in education. It's like what the like like I know you can speak like this. I'm like, well,
Oh, so
I
she
read.
was surprised, huh?
Yeah, she
She's
was
like, I never
surprised.
heard you talk like this before.
Yeah, like what the heck? I'm like,
I mean, isn't it great about moms? They can just knock you down a notch without even trying.
it's true. It's true. Yeah, it's so
So,
darn
I
true.
mean,
It's like
was
back to
that
earth.
something that your family talked about? Was making sure that you were a go getter, you took care of yourself, and you went out and made sure that you weren't getting yourself in any trouble?
Oh yeah, definitely. I consider my mom my first ever public speaking coach, especially for life too, because she helped me to get my first ever part-time job at a local library that started off as just a summer youth internship that eventually turned into
Oh,
basically a career for the most part, for the mainstay.
yeah,
And
yeah,
she always wanted me to go for the gusto, as she would always like to say, back in the grade school days. And she would always want me
yeah,
to do the best that I definitely could. And like that, like I'm always grateful for her, and I'm still glad she's still around today because sadly my father isn't
yeah,
anymore, and definitely
right.
always grateful for her. Definitely always grateful for her.
Oh, I would be too. I mean, I still have both my parents, and it's it makes a difference in how you look at life, when you still have your family around you. Because anytime, even without them trying, if you need somebody, just having that comfort thought of them being there is such a great thing. Now, I am envious that you got a job at a library because I always wanted to work at a library, but I would
Yeah.
never get anything done. Well, except reading. So, but so that is where um, it kind of led you into what you're doing today, where you interview authors and have them tell their story. So that that's like a life training, that you did not even know about. And however, with today's technology, you're able to do what you really know about is books and authors, right? So, do you ever see yourself doing anything different than interviewing authors?
For the podcast, sure. Down the road, we'll see what happens. Because my goal with the podcast is to interview over 1,000 authors across the globe, and I'm 734 in, so I'm getting close.
Oh, wow, you are. So do you already have the rest of your year planned out? I mean, because you put podcasts out almost every day, right?
Yep, every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday, and sometimes, occasionally bonus episodes. Like if I wasn't uploading 3 days a week, my 2023 probably would be done, or at least close to October. But I'm actually 3 months ahead on both ends, with guests waiting to be interviewed and episodes waiting to be released. So I'm ahead of
Yeah,
the curve. That's the way the show started, and that's probably one of the main reasons why it's still going, is because I basically had a
yeah,
launch pad and a foundation in place. So that way I wouldn't have to run out of content.
yeah. No, no, that's a great thing to do, because when I first started out, I really didn't know my message. And I mean, I knew my message, but I didn't really have it narrowed down, you know. And and so but then I was like I then I was like self-sabotaging. So I was like not putting stuff out every week like I wanted to. But then Podmatch came. And when I found that, that saved my bacon because I started talking to people about what I was doing. And so just kind of like saying the message over and over was really helping me fine tune and get in my niche and know what I really wanted to do. And then be able, and the stuff that I already knew I wanted to do, but have the confidence to start doing it, which is what I've started doing this year, is working on my own stuff. So, um, so what advice would you give to an introvert? So, who wants to be more confident? Why did you put this question in there? Because were you an introvert growing up, or did you
Oh
know a lot of
yeah.
introverts?
Oh yeah, I'm an
I
introvert.
mean,
I'm an ambivert now. That's right, a
I
little bit of both. I get a little charged when I'm on stage, and funny enough, an interesting little shift of thought. Actually, had a guest, Tyler Foley. Well, Sean Tyler Foley is
uh-huh.
his full name or whatever. He actually
Yeah,
mentioned and said that public speaking is actually one of the most introverted things you can do, because really, when you're on stage, you're by yourself unless you're on a panel. And even though you're talking with your audience, you're not really
yeah.
talking with them one on one. And even though if you have a
Ugh.
big audience, you're gonna see them, but you're not gonna lock eyes with every single person in the darn room. Like that's just not gonna happen. And it's like
No,
when
I'm
he
not because I'm
mentioned,
scared.
and it's like that just makes the most sense to me, because it's like, hey, he kind of does have a point. And
Yeah,
really, for those introverts who want to be more confident, really go to Toastmasters and look up a local club, especially if they're still doing virtual meetings. If you want to get your feet wet
uh-huh.
online, and
What
just
is
have that.
Toastmasters?
Oh, sure thing. So don't worry, there's no bread and wine involved for the most part.
Oh, crap.
Depending on
Can I bring
there's
my
no
own
drinking
wine?
wine. Depends on the club and where they meet. If they meet like in a high school after the schools are closed, definitely not. If it's like a different setting, sure, we'll see. But
Is it like a
Toastmasters
book
is
club for women?
depends on the group again, because there's some groups that actually all just for women, depending on where you are in the world. But
Oh,
yeah, it's just yeah, it's
I
a
am part of a book club, and our title is Reading Between the Wine. We're reading between the wine. So, and one of us brings a bottle of wine at every meeting. Um, we've I love it. Those women have helped me so much, and we're all different, personalities and everything. And it took me a long time to warm up to them. I've been part of the group for 6, 7 years now, and it took me a long time to warm up to them. Yeah, they like to raise the roof. They're pretty,
yeah.
and so now I'm comfortable with them, and they can really see my personality and they still like me.
Heck
So
yeah.
so what is this Toastmasters about? I mean, besides, what we thought we thought it was.
Yeah, there's no drinking wine till you wine. It's actually a nonprofit organization where folks get to become better leaders through communication. The
Uh-huh.
tagline is where leaders are made, so you get to practice public speaking, and public speaking is one of
Oh,
those major skills that will amp up your confidence, and it's done
yeah.
wonders for me and my confidence to where I'm actually an ambivert now, and I didn't discover that piece of myself that I really get to shine
Mhm.
on stage and really be myself. And when you find out,
Mm.
hey, this is a place where I can be myself, then that'll transfer into other areas too of confidence. So really just joining Toastmasters and being around
Mhm.
a group of people who just want to better themselves for the better.
Wow, I didn't know there was anything out there like that. So you said it's a nonprofit?
Yep, nonprofit organization like club dues from last I checked with my club, it's probably like less than $100 a year. You pay like twice a year
Yeah.
every 6 months.
Wow.
So that's really all it is, just
Awesome.
to practice public speaking and leadership. And you can really get into it if you so desire. Although I want to make sure you don't get too trapped in it because you may end up in a volunteer quicksand, as I call it.
Oh, I've been there before. I can see that coming a mile away. It's like, nope, you're not getting my number.
They won't even need your number. They'll just find you and kidnap you, and you wake up with a name tag that says area director. That's all. That's how that happens.
Well, they better have a whole army coming to my house.
Don't worry, it's a loaf of bread. It's toasty bread too.
You need to stop.
What can I say? I'm a bastard.
Oh my gosh.
Keeping it cornier than a cornfield. You love to see it.
Yeah. I was like, oh God, here comes the croutons.
There we go. That's right, indeed. Instead of spilling tea, it's sipping soup. You love to see it.
Oh my gosh, Tom. We gotta stop. My stomach's gonna start hurting. We're not gonna get anything done.
That
I
means you
think
get to
I've done
burn
lost control
calories.
of the
You'll be
well.
fine. You're extending your youth. It's fine. Laughter's good for the soul.
So so I mean, you wrote your first book in 20 you said it was published in 2016.
Yes, ma'am. Sweet 16.
So are you going to write another book?
Oh, yeah. I got three other books to my name. Got the follow up book, Stay the Course, that was published in not 17, 2019. That was 2 years
Oh, so you
after.
do have other books you've written.
Yeah.
I need to write.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
That's
Well,
right.
you're already ahead of the game. I haven't done the first one yet.
You said
But
yes. That means it's in the works. That's good. Putting that Nikki knowledge in a book. Looking forward to reading it. Bonus points if you
it
read
would
your own
be
book too and put an audio.
it would be an encyclopedia of what
Hey,
not to
good.
do.
That's good. We all need a bowl of oatmeal, a nice thick tome for your dome. It's good. That's right indeed.
Yeah,
Nikki's Motherhood Unlimited, Unfiltered
unlimited.
Encyclopedia.
Yeah, for sure. I People are like, why would you use unfiltered? I'm like, because we talk about. I mean, if you're a mother, everything has happened to you in and having a child. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay. There have been some ugly crap happen with me being a mom. And I told my kids, I was like, well, we made it out alive. We might we might have some scars, but we're still upright. We're still above the ground. So Two. I had three boys, and two of them are. I mean, they try to be understanding, but my middle one, he got scarred so bad. He's still dealing with me being his mom. So I I just, I just tell him I did the best I could with what I had. Because they don't make you go to class, they don't make you take a test, they don't make you get a license to be a parent. Everything else you have to get certified. And people are out there just doing everything they can with what they've got to raise their kids, and sometimes somebody gets hurt and
And
they
I
deal with
mean,
it the rest of their life. Do you have any siblings like that? Or was that you? you know,
hey, it's all good. It's all good. Because, hey, funny
it
enough, if we
is.
had parenting certifications, folks would still be jacked up. Because parenting, you can plan all you want, but the plan's going to fail at first contact anyway. You probably know better from experience than me on that. But you
That is,
plan
I
all
know
day.
that's true, but still, that's why it's called the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, ugly's gonna happen no matter what. And when you're in the situation at that time, you can't look outside the box or look outside the circle to see, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. Because you're making it on the fly. But I'm sure he'll be okay. He's a tough kid.
Yeah,
So,
go. You trained them. There you go.
yeah. So for introverts, you say getting them up in front of somebody or a group of people and do public speaking. You say that will help them be more confident, right?
Heck yeah. That's right, indeed.
so I so I saw a uh, a survey, and it said the majority of podcasters are introverts. Doesn't that make sense? Because we well, I mean, I wasn't trying to be funny, but I was just thinking because sitting in front of a camera and having a microphone or not even video, you feel comfortable. You don't feel threatened, because you can't see your audience staring back at you. I just thought that was so telling because a lot of people I talk to, they're just like me, they're introverts. And I started to be able to talk to um, like other people when after I had my kids because things were happening with them like at school or in a public situation, and if I didn't stand up for them, nobody was going to. So I
Mm.
had to use my voice and make sure that I tried to keep them safe whenever something would happen that I felt like was inappropriate or not fair or whatever. So I mean, do you find that to be true?
Oh yeah, sure, definitely. Now, granted, it's probably because I popped in at the last minute, but I was actually at the Podfest Expo, and like they were having a party on Saturday night, and probably 25% of the folks were dancing, and probably the other 75% were around just chilling, and some just folks got out of the room and just got into their own little metaphorical silos and amoebas and just chatted amongst themselves because they were like, "Oh shoot."
Amoebas. Now, I like dancing. I would have been dancing. I mean, because I just go in my own little world and it's just fun. Um, but yeah, so 75% of people were the wallflowers. That
Well,
is
the
so
good news is,
true.
well, they weren't on the dance floor, but they were close. They didn't hug the wall. They weren't completely frenzied like, "Ah." You didn't see the fear. You couldn't smell it either. It wasn't that bad. I'll say that much. They're probably tired more than anything else.
Probably because you said there was a lot of people there. So, so, so what would you say be the number one thing that you've learned from interviewing so many people? You know, like, do. I mean, is it kind of the same formula? But I mean, do you have anybody that just stands out for you that really impacted your, who you are as a person?
Oh wow, there's quite a few actually, but I think the major lesson learned is that really, no matter how famous someone is, no matter how big of a following they may have, they're still human like you and I. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like you can have somebody who's like done so much, but hey, at the end of the day, they may have taken different actions, made different decisions, and they have a different
Wow.
mindset, but they basically are still human. And just having a one-on-one conversation with them, you discover like, hey, at the end of the day, we all desire the same basic things like food, shelter, and really folks that we love and care about, and folks that can return the favor for us. So that's really all that it is. Like if everything was encompassed in that one lesson, that'll probably be the one that stands out. Now, granted, there's
Oh,
other tips too, but that's just the main thing. It's like, hey, we're all human here. We may have our crazy moments, but we're still freaking
yeah.
fabulous in our own separate areas.
Right, right. Well, I like that because we are, and even though someone may be more popular than somebody else, they still got to do the work like that author who may have just put out their first book, right? They still got to
Hmm.
go out and talk to people and talk about what they've done, and that's the same thing that what we have to do. And I'm learning more and more that there's not like a magic pill that you can take to be, you know, famous or whatever it is that you're looking for. You have to do the work. You have to go out, like you said, they have to network just like you have to network or I have to network. And and so the lesson in that is we have to do the work. We have to do the actionable steps. You know, someone's not going to come and throw some fairy dust on us and then voila, we've sold 1 million books, right? I mean, we have to do the work. So, yeah, that's a great thing to be aware of that. Which, if you're someone who is struggling with that, like self sabotage or comparing yourself to someone else, then you just think, well, they're doing the exact same thing I'm doing. So, what are they doing that is getting them a little bit more ahead than what I'm doing? Because it has to be the message, and how are you saying it? And why are you saying it? You know, all of those things. So that's just a lot of stuff that made me think I have a lot to think about.
Hey, moms
We
think,
have podcasts so I could talk to myself, right? You're just sitting and listening to me think out loud.
I mean, I'm a host too, and yeah, it's probably therapy session to listen back to some of the episodes, eh? Even some speakers joke that say, "Oh yeah, when I go to Toastmaster to practice, this is really therapy. It's cheaper than therapy. This is my therapy right here."
No wonder you've done over 700 of them. I think Don feels better about himself.
Because I'm having fun with people, getting folks to laugh and get
And he
them out
wants
of
to get
their.
to 1,000. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's gonna be
know,
fun on the
but
bum
you're
when
an
it
easy
happens.
person to talk to, and yeah. One of these days, Don, we'll watch your episode, and you'll be laying on a couch and just talking to your guest. Like the therapist couch. So even though they don't even do that anymore.
Let's just hope it's not a red couch.
Oh my lord, that's not right.
It could be left.
Oh my god.
Who needs a
Okay.
banana in the
No wonder you
tailpipe?
need
Get the corn.
need 300 more episodes to get your goal. You got a lot more work to get done.
Heck yeah. Practice
Well,
some of my corny jokes on them too. It's fun. The
so
cornier, the
Dom,
gronier.
oh my gosh, I live in corn country, you know.
Even better. Or even cornier. Or better yet, even butter.
Oh Lord, we're getting ridiculous now. There are fields around my house, okay, where I live.
No wonder
So
you're fielding questions, huh?
I'm I'm sorry, folks. He's on a roll.
Hot dog and egg rolls, baby. I'm
I
on all
think
the
I,
rolls.
I think I will get a hold of Toastmaster and get me some wine.
Don't worry, there will be no toasters in the room, I think.
Just myself.
That's right. Don't forget about Irene.
Oh my gosh, Dom. What does your mom say about when you get on these rolls? She shake her
Oh,
head at
she
you.
she doesn't even catch half of them sometimes. She just no sells it. It's like, ah, dang, she ain't catching none of these. It's like, ah, darn. Sometimes when I'm
I
not even
know.
trying, she just laughs. That's the funny part about
I know. I know my son does the same to me, and he gets mad if I don't get it or I missed it. You know, if I missed the joke, the punchline, or whatever, I'm like, I'm not even paying attention to you right now. Go away. He's like, I wasted. You're killing my jokes. So, well, Dom. So
it.
I think he should write his own joke book.
That's right. The Book of Domisms coming out soon. Soon is very relative, by the way. We'll see. I got 150 of them so far. We'll see how much further I can go before I can fill a book.
Millennials, he ain't got nothing on y'all, or you don't have nothing on him.
I hope
So
not.
please tell us how we can get a hold of you.
Well, if you're cute, you can use both hands. That's how you can get a hold of me. Let me stop. Get over to dombrightmon.com, actually. DomBrightmon.com is for all things Dom on DomBrightmon.com. And that's where you can catch the Going North podcast, especially when Nikki pops on the show and she gets her book out. So that way I can return the favor, that's right, indeed, and have her be on the other side of the microphone, indeed, all on DomBrightmon.com. Oh, yeah, and that free gift for folks, too, that 21 Lessons Learned for Podcasting. That's yours for free if you subscribe to the email list, indeed. And don't worry, it's a once a month sort of deal. It ain't a 5 emails a day sort of thing. I don't like being spammed. I don't do that to other people.
Well, Dom, I've enjoyed having you on today, and I good luck on getting to your 1,000 guest interview. I'm sure you will get there. And then you're gonna be
That's right.
like, I think I need to get 1,500.
That actually might happen. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Because I'm having fun.
Well, I appreciate it that you were a guest on my show today. So, and I hope we can do this again in the future.
I'm looking forward to it. When I get to host a laugh, that's a win. It's like, all right. Especially those extra serious hosts like to be serious. Like, all right, I got him. All right, got him out of their darn serious turtle show. Finally, now they're human.